Hello and welcome back to another episode of What the Clams. As always, I am Clams, and today I am extremely excited to have a very, very close friend of mine. Consider him like a family member, like a brother. The old man, the infamous Grandpa, Mr.
What's good,
Sebastian.
my brother? How you been?
Good man. I say the infamous because you have been brought up in multiple episodes. You know what I mean? We grew up together, man. It's like a staple. Like there's so many things I couldn't talk about if I didn't talk about you in it. Like I couldn't tell the real story. One of the things I want to start off right away, man, is I've always appreciated your friendship. I mean, we've been through our ups and downs and shit like that, but like in life, but we've always been close. There might have been periods where we didn't talk every day type shit, but it's not, the energy is still there. You're still one of my best friends, and I'm extremely proud to say that today is your 6 months clean, dude. That is, clean and sober. That's
I
fucking awesome.
appreciate it, brother. I'm pretty proud of the fact I took a moment yesterday right before went to work to do the holiday hours. I just ended up crying in the car for a minute because I was just like, damn, bro. This is a moment of vulnerability and it's still so fragile. You know what I mean? Like 6 months is nothing to fucking scoff at, but at
100%.
the same time, literally the night before, my brother Keenan, his best friend, stays with us, and he was like, "Yo, I bought a 30 rack of Keystone, so there'll be some waiting for you." And I was like, fuck. And I'm like, dude, I'm 2 days from 6 months and it's coming into a holiday. Do I want to throw that all away right now, especially on an important day for my family? And I was like, fuck no, I don't. In that moment, I was sober and I was able to process
Yeah.
that thought that way. You know what I mean? But
Isn't that like the coolest thing though? Is like being able to process it because before it was like without
yep,
hesitation, you would just
yep.
grab that beer, and go. Like that, you would be like, you don't even have to be there yet. You already in your head are like, I'm fucking chugging like three of those
Yep,
things
and I
right
mean
when I get.
it's such an interesting point too because I for a long time, this isn't the first time I've tried to get sober either. For a long time I was like, right now I would have been like, oh, it's a holiday and I've done such a good job. I'm so close to 6 months. I earned it, bro. I can celebrate. But that's how I restart my cycle. That's how my cycle
Yeah.
of addiction goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's how you start. That's how you relapse, and that's how you get right back into it. Because it always starts off a little bit. You start off small. I can just have one, and then it turns into the same thing, if not worse, than what it
Exactly,
was prior.
exactly. I don't know. That's why I was so proud in that moment.
Yeah, dude, you should be. Because that's somebody said something the other day in a meeting I was in. It really hit me because he's like, he was celebrating a year, and he's like, man, a year, is a big milestone. But he's like, in comparison to how long I was using, fucking, it's nothing. So I have to, stay. I got to be proud and take that, milestone and be proud of myself. At the same time, I got to be vigilant and not fuck up because, I mean, for me, what, 17, 18 years of using and, I from when I was 14, dude. It's a long
I
fucking
know, bro.
time.
I was doing the math on it the other day, and like, because my brother lives with us, and he's so much younger than I am. It's crazy for his friends to be around and be like, bro, I started using when you were born almost. Like,
Yeah, your
my
whole life has
addiction
to get fucked up.
started before you even existed. And I know what you're going through right now, and that makes me
Yeah,
feel old. The old man thing's fucking real, you know what I mean?
you're telling me I'm fucking feeling old as shit. I got white hairs up in the beard and the hair. Like I be working with kids, dude, and like, oh yeah, look, you don't look that old. I'm like, how old do you think I am?
Oh, dude,
Like, how old do you think I am? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. Like, I'm 20. I'm like, holy
I
shit,
get that
kid.
one a lot too, and it's like, wait, you're in your mid-30s, bro? What the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an old man.
Man, no, brother. Yeah, no, dude, that's like I said. I didn't want to make this whole thing just about recovery on this one because I know we got some stuff I want to jump into. But it's like, dude, I have to jump in right off the
I
bat
appreciate
and
it, man.
congratulate you on
You're
that.
right about at your 7-month mark, right? And you're one of my big inspirations for getting clean. I
Well,
hope you know that.
I appreciate that. That's awesome to know because I mean, it's I've had a couple people reach out to me and tell me that because of me saying like, hey, I'm going to treatment and doing this stuff that they're like, I it made me a little bit more confident in myself
Well, and
to
for
try
me,
it
it was
again.
I'm not in this alone. My brother's doing it with me, man. Like this journey isn't something I have to do alone. And it's the same way you go to meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's about not being alone. And I was like, I even while you were in treatment, I was like, I know this man's committed. I know he doesn't have a choice now. I have to commit and I have to make a choice. And I did, man. And like it took me a little bit to
Yeah,
get to the point that I was ready. What about a month? So you're just about a month in front of me. But we got there, man. And like I said, you're a
yeah,
big reason that I decided I was ready to commit is because like we've been through some shit together too, man. A lot of shit together.
and that's the other thing is like I want to point out. I had to go and put myself into a treatment center. I had to go get the professional help to get the medication I needed, to get the mental support I needed, to have the structure of like you. Even if you want to go out and get fucked up, like you ain't going nowhere. And for you to be able to do that without going to a rehab center and doing it by yourself, man, you gotta give yourself props on that because you're not even like really going to like any 12-step meetings. You're doing this just purely on I want to be better, and it's a lot of it. I realized too, dude, is like it's the behaviors. It's not even like I know some people, dude, that like don't use, but they have such like they have like the addict
Oh, and
behaviors.
I'm one of those people, man. Like I'm gonna say
Me too,
something
dude.
that is you're gonna be like, ha ha ha, fucking old man. The song I was fucking listening to when I had my little cry in the car yesterday morning. Any guesses the artist it was? I bet you could. Yep.
Eminem, and it was
No,
fucking what is
it
it?
was
Rehab.
one of his newer songs called Fall, and he has this line, and he just says, "You can compare me to your car because I'm just barely getting started."
Hell yeah,
And I
hell yeah, that's
fucking
badass.
in that moment, bro, I was just like, that's where we're at right now. You know what I mean? Like it's all about my self-improvement, who I can be. 26 is going to be an awesome year for me, man. 2025 was possibly the hardest year of my life. You know some of the shit that's going on. We don't need to go into that right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's for me, dude. Is like 2025 is the year that I finally fucking. It's like I had to break all the way down. Like I came to like the ultimate, like make this decision or everything is on the line if you fuck up. And I was already fucking up, so it was like I have to do this. But then everything after that, dude. Once I made that decision, everything has gotten so much better. The relationship with Emily, with my kid's mom, being able to be there with the kids, parenting in such a better manner, being able to be more present for the kids, like not just by physically being there, but like mentally and emotionally being there, being able to like get married right out of rehab and like because we obviously had a plan for a year. It wasn't like it was just a rush into it type thing. Just to give context here, but I, you know, was able to do that with a lot of my fucking very close friends and family and make it through. And a lot of us had fucking used and drank and whatever together. So I just see it as a giant, like a win. You know what I mean? And then because Ashley's only a couple weeks behind me in sobriety, my wife, then you're like a month behind me. So it's like, it's just fucking cool because it's got other people that are like, hey, I just hit this milestone, and it's really awesome. And oh, I was gonna tell you too. Richard actually went with me to one a couple nights ago, and that was really fucking cool because just getting that support, dude. Like it's crazy how much little things like that
That's funny.
matter,
He
dude.
reached out to me not too long ago. I don't want to talk about what he said because it was pretty personal, but and it was probably before he even went to that meeting. But I told him, man, I'm
Yeah,
proud of him, and he's a fucking awesome man, and I hope he can continue to be an awesome man for his family, like we're all trying to do. You know what I mean? That's what this shit's about. I think that's
yeah, dude.
something you and I in our journey
We're coming
relate
back
on
to
heavily. We lack strong male figures in our life, and it's our job to be that strong male figure that we wanted in our lives. You know what I mean?
yeah. We didn't. I guess I was just talking about this with my wife, dude. It's like I feel bad for the kids because like the bar was set pretty low for
Yep.
me to be better than my dad. Because
Yep.
if I'm just there
That's
doing better than him, that doesn't mean that I'm not causing trauma. It doesn't mean that we're not fucking causing trauma to them. It's just not
exactly.
the same
And
trauma.
that's why I'm trying to be conscious of being better too, you know. I messaged you the other day about today is progress. And that's it's important, and like
Yeah,
that's how I'm just viewing it. Like I said early on in my addiction, it was literally sometimes second into time. Like as I was in my recovery, it was like, fuck, bro, it's literally right there. I have an account nobody ever sees.
mm,
Why? And I was just like, because I can. Because in this moment, I'm making the choice that I'm
yeah,
stronger and I can beat this addiction. And it still is there
yeah, dude.
constantly, man. Like it's rough, but it is what it is.
Going to town, like. just me. Like I'll be driving to town and just in the back of my mind, like, and I've
They're
kept it. But
triggers, man,
God,
and
dude,
it's
that's just so
it's
like,
it's crazy how many of them we created for ourselves too. You know what I mean?
yes, everything's a trigger for me, dude. I could literally just be driving in town and like they cut the thought comes across my mind of like I'm by myself. I could easily like I got like 2 hours of like time to kill. I could easily hit this guy up, go big, get a bag.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would know, and then I'm like, I would know, you know. Well, then I would be mad at myself, and I'd be throwing all this away. The dreams, dude, are what get me the most. I wake up
Dude,
and like in my dream, like having vivid dreams. I used in my dream or I drank in my dream. I wake up just mad at myself, and I'm like, oh, thank God,
the
it
one
was
that
just a
got
dream.
me is like, since we're on the topic, we'll go just a little longer on the topic, but pretty recently, I won't mention names about who it was, but somebody pretty important to me offered me a hard substance, and I'm getting close to 10 years totally clean, but there was that small relapse you and I had a long time ago. But I didn't really count that one in my
Yeah,
journey, you know what I mean? Because that was the only time I ever used at that point. But anyways, pretty recently, this last year, and I'm pretty sure I told you about it, somebody pretty close to me literally offered me a bag, and I was like, what is it? I took it in my hand. I was like, what is this? And he's like, white powder in a bag. And I was like, well, I
yeah,
handed it back to him and was like, I can't, man. And that,
yeah.
yeah, and
Not worth
that
it.
was that was I literally that night had like nightmares, and it's crazy, but you can do it, man. All you have to do is remind yourself, sometimes even 1 second
Yeah,
at a time. We got this.
100%. 100%. And that's the thing is too is like just knowing that you have other people to support you and that if you just reach out, dude, like there's people out there that feel for you, dude. Like I met people that like I would never talk to this person in the normal day, but because of our addiction and recovery, that we have something in common that we're like that person would answer that call at any time of the night and be like, hey, how are you doing? Like what's going on?
It is.
That's cool. Yeah, I know we wanted to jump into. I've been kind of excited about this
I,
because I wasn't sure. I didn't even like dig into none. I'm not even gonna lie. I did not dig into any of them. I was gonna let you reign this motherfucker, and we're gonna just
I
do this
actually
journey
have
together.
two things I want to jump into with you. One of them's a surprise topic for you that you have no preparation for, but it's very grandpa.
Oh shit,
Let's do it, bro. So I'll go ahead and I'll just give a little bit
man.
of an introduction. Me and this man have been friends for close, if not 2 decades now. No, no. How it was closer to
Yeah,
when
dude.
you were 14. So how old are you now?
Fucking, I'm about a week away from
Okay,
being
so
fucking 32.
close to 2 decades.
Like, yeah, we're like a full
Yep.
adult life,
Yep.
dude. That's crazy.
And so we've talked about a lot of shit in our life, but one thing that I've always been known for, as long as you've known me at least, is I've always been kind of a nerd. And I was a nerd. I was a nerd about
Yeah, dude.
everything, man. If I really enjoyed it, I nerded out heavy on it, man. I get passionate about things. And it borderlined conspiracy on certain topics, and I became known as the conspiracy theorist guy. We had all sorts of fun conspiracy theory conversations throughout our teenage years and our adolescence and our young adulthood. I was a pretty firm believer in the Illuminati. There's a famous story about me believing there was a Rolls Royce pulling up on us, and it was the Illuminati. It was actually a Chrysler 300, and it
Hey,
was some Hispanic people.
dude, you were so convinced.
But that all of
So
that to lead up
convinced.
to say I was frequently a conspiracy theorist, at least a little bit. And if not a conspiracy theorist myself, I knew all of them, or at least most of them. I was never a flat earther.
Because I mean, no matter what, it's at least fun to think about. You know what I mean? No matter what, it's at least fun to like listen to. Because some of them do you're like, what? And then you find out
Oh,
later that they're
100%,
fucking
man.
real.
Like we're living in some of the most wild times for that. But there's a couple of really
Fucking
interesting ones to talk about, I think, right now. There's one surprise one I have for you, and one I think you expected totally. Let's talk a little bit about, do you know anything about Three Eye Atlas?
oh yeah,
Okay,
oh yeah.
so Three Eye Atlas, think we've almost fully decided it's a comet based on the imagery we have, but there's still a lot of information being hidden
I
from the
I
public.
I've seen some crazy fucking conspiracies about it, dude. Like. there's like this picture, like you see this like
It looks
point
like a
on it, and like all these
dinosaur or
people are
some
like, it's a
shit. That
fucking
picture was AI
tower,
generated.
dude, and all these people are like, it's a fucking tower, it's a communications fucking point. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's a rock. Like it looked like a rock with a dinosaur on it.
It's I think I think it's
And then
probably the most interesting thing that's happening, especially in the conspiracy theory frame. For one thing, do you know why it's named Three Eye Atlas?
I do not actually.
I actually is for third interstellar. It's only the third object that's actually originated from outside our galaxy that entered our galaxy.
Yeah, that we've been able to like actually like view and try to like figure out like, hey,
Exactly.
where did this come from? And because I also know like the thing I was hearing about was like the trajectory of it was what was triggering a lot of people to be
Yes,
like,
sir.
what the fuck
It's
is this?
the chances of its trajectory were astronomically low, but at the same time, it's space, man. Basically, everything's gonna happen eventually. That's the crazy
Yeah,
part. Like, I don't know. I think Three Eye Atlas is a phenomenon to observe, especially because it's a rock that's literally older than our solar system, bro.
yeah. Which is crazy to think about. Like it for people that are in like, and I'm not trying to dog on anybody because I keep an
Oh,
open mind to
100%.
everything. You know what I mean? So like people that are like super religious, and then you have this going on. Like it's very interesting to me to how do people at that point like I want to I wish I had somebody that was like super religious so I could like ask them like what how does this play into like your grasp because we're supposed to be like the center of the universe
Well,
for
as somebody who was pretty
a
religious
lot
for
of
a
us.
long time, and I have a pretty quick and easy answer for that one. The universe isn't our solar system, as you know. The galaxy is our solar system. The universe is totally different, and
Yeah,
that rock originated from a different galaxy, man. And it's just how it is. Our solar system came to be. It wasn't the beginning of all of the universe. The Bible has some interesting ways of writing that. I don't know too much about other religions, but
yeah. I mean,
I don't think
yeah, like it. I don't know. That's kind of my point. Like it
a little
contradicts
bit, but
itself.
I also think it's not quite as contradictory as you think it might be.
Well, no, because a lot of things are also taken into different like terminal. Like, okay, so like a lot of it too, it's
Oh, 100%.
rewritten. You know what I mean? Like it's
The
like it's not
Romans
the
rewrote
original
all of the
content.
Hebrew scripture, bro. Like it was originally Jewish and then it was Greek and then it was yeah, it's the Bible's been through some shit. There's a lot of conspiracy around
It's
that
been
as well. And I genuinely have finally gotten to a point where I've realized most modern religion is just a system used to oppress the poor.
I mean, it's to give hope, but it's been manipulated to a point. Like I think originally it was to give people a faith, a hope, a reason because life's tough, dude. And then I think that people took advantage of that and manipulated it, and that
Well,
started
and I
a
mean
long fucking time
in
ago.
Christianity in particular, like let's just break down heaven totally outside of the normal way people talk about it. Let's think about it like let's just be lobotomized and praise the king all day because it's supposed to be the perfect world and God is all holy and we're gonna wake up every morning and sing to him about how great he is and like it starts to sound pretty creepy and then you realize he really was kind of an abusive asshole throughout the entire Bible, and it's really meant to manipulate us and try and control us in ways. And religion gets kind of dark, man. The other big conspiracy theory I wanted to catch you
It,
off guard with a little bit. I have a guy I've been doing some side work with that I'm going to leave anonymous. We're going to call him Bill. Bill's a pretty devout
okay.
Christian and pretty right wing winging. I've been doing some like wood splitting with him and some mechanic stuff. We did an engine swap on his. It was I think a late '70s GMC Sierra. I helped him do an engine swap on it a couple of weeks ago. That was a
Okay.
really cool experience. But he was telling me about some of his favorite conspiracy theories, and most interesting one that as soon as you said you wanted me to talk about that a bit, I was like, oh, I'm bringing this up on the episode. And uh, he said that when aliens arrive, they're gonna try and convince us that they're God, and that's basically what Jesus told us, and that's when the Revelations chapter kicks in. That's the Antichrist, and they're gonna try and frame themselves as the God that created us, and try and manipulate all of humanity to start taking their chips or whatever, the marks of the beast. And I was
Yeah.
just like, huh. It's not the most absurd thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, okay, Hobo hit me with one when I was like, damn. Because it's like, what if it's like that, the exact same thing, but what if the like all of it is like AI
Oh yeah.
controlled? Like, what if we created the AI and in the future that the AI is the one that's sending these things back? It's a weird
Yeah.
it's like a loop, but like it's not so far fetched that you couldn't believe it because it's all
Well, and
theoretic.
the other interesting one I've seen that AI Atlas kind of ties into is that it was aliens arriving to stop us from creating a super AI that could destroy the entire universe.
Which we probably need to do because dude, like, but the thing is, if you look back, like one of my biggest like things, which I don't, I don't know if it's conspiracy because it's fucking fact, but the the CISPA fucking act when it was passed and it was the Boston fucking marathon bombing, whatever, the massacre there was so much in that that like they already had to have had an AI system before that because they were saying that they were going to have like all these checks on what we were doing, what we're searching, and able to use it to like take information, sell information, to database things. How are you going to do that with manpower? You're not. You have to have a fucking computer system to do that in AI.
Agreed.
It's too much. It's too fucking much for a people to do. You wouldn't have the. It's not cost effective.
I think that's a really hard one because it was an interesting point in technology shifting. Apple was beginning to come to major control. Google was establishing dominancy. Microsoft has
Mm-hmm.
always been the key player. Intel is now the superstar and was really just beginning to take
Yeah.
hold at that point. So I don't think it was as much about AI. I think it was just about actual data. Microsoft had already been building all of those databases for as long as Windows existed, bro. Which was literally like,
How are you gonna like? That's the thing. It had to be an AI system to like. How are you gonna fucking? What are you gonna do with that data? Just because you collect it, you gotta have something
well,
that sorts it. You gotta
yeah,
have
there's
a
a program that
program.
can be. It doesn't have to be AI though, and that's the thing. AI is a fancy program that's called a large language model, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I'm not proficient in it to discuss it. You know what I mean? But AI
Yeah.
is basically just a fancy program, bro, and it's
Yeah. Oh,
nothing
for sure.
super special, and like a lot of what you're saying isn't incorrect, but using the term AI is different than what it means now.
I'm saying I'm saying that's the turning point of when they were already trying to make these things, and then once they had access for those things, it was much easier for them to progress the AI
Yeah,
model.
absolutely. You're absolutely right about that.
You know, because at that point they had way more because they needed for the AI algorithm for it to actually work. You're going to need a lot of data for it to start sifting through, because otherwise that computer system is going to run through it quick. But if you have access to taking everybody's searches and everybody's like interest, it can start actually like it, I don't know. To me, that's I think it was like a big turning point of when AI really was going to start taking not control, but like taking like a footing. If that makes
So the third conspiracy, which was actually originally my second conspiracy that I remembered I wanted to bring up. This one's also going to catch you off guard a little bit, and it is going to go a little on the political spectrum, but it's not going to bother anybody. I just think it's something interesting and something to keep an eye out for over the next few years, right? I think a lot of what's happening in politics over the last decade, especially, basically since after Obama left office and Trump took office, and now this is all conspiracy, starting here, basically, that the billionaire class has been leveraging their buying power on all of the politicians, whether it be Congress, senators, the president, whoever, and all of their companies at the same time to basically buy out America in hopes to essentially try and sell the country to what will be the highest bidder, and what I only can guess would probably be China.
I mean, honestly, at that point, if somebody's going to do it, I know who would fucking. South Park just nailed it with that point. You know who's giving money to everybody?
Oh,
It would
bro.
be Saudi Arabia,
Well, so
dude.
that's another
They've got
interesting point.
they've got money a
what
problem?
do you how do you what as somebody on the West Coast, what do you think about fucking Qatar getting an Air Force base in Idaho?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on with like. I honestly, I try to not like fuck with so much of like the news and the politics and shit. But when it starts being shit like this, you have to pay attention because like, what
Agreed,
the fuck is
man.
going
And
on?
I just think, like I said, I don't want to get too on the political spectrum or anything, but I just thought that's an interesting conspiracy theory. And I think over the next few years, we'll see as our economy tanks if that's what starts to happen. You know what I mean?
And I mean, if you want to go that far, I'll go further back than that. All of this is just playing footwork to what they started in
With the
2001.
financial crisis.
They
Okay.
destroyed the bank.
And so that actually ties into the GameStop stuff and the whole financial the
All of it.
American financial system is entirely propped up on lies and fake trades.
Oh, dude. It
Exactly.
has been for a long time. And I think honestly, Donald Trump becoming president just exposed it as like the same thing as Arnold Schwarzenegger winning what is it,
The
governor
governor.
in fucking California. Where like you can just buy it. Yeah, dude, you can just use popularity and money and just take whatever position you want because it's a gimmick. It's not a real fucking thing. It's a gimmick. It's a scapegoat. It's a
And
placeholder.
unfortunately, they've had those placeholders en masse and used it to basically veto what the American public really cared about. They
Dude, I think everything right now is so skewed. Like there are so many things that are going on that are not important that it makes
Yep.
me wonder what is really, what's really going on behind the scenes. Because usually when there's big shit happening, something's being covered up. That's always been the conspiracy. That's like goes back to like the dawning of fucking humanity. That like this is happening to cover up for this. It, is it really a conspiracy when it's been done time and time again? Where like it's proven that that's exactly what was happening. It makes me wonder what
It's
they're doing now. Like
obfuscation,
what?
man.
Because you know how before, well, because remember how before it was like race war was what they were trying to push, and that kind of died off. Like BLM. I felt like we were going to go into like a race war, civil war. Now it's about like now it's left and right. Like it doesn't matter. It'll never end. It's always going to be red versus blue,
Well,
purple versus
and
fucking
I
orange.
think we're really hitting an interesting breaking point in the red versus blue. I think literally this week, a lot of the big redheads were like, "Yo, this isn't working, you guys."
I think that eventually everybody needs to realize that we need to come to a middle ground on everything because, dude, that thing is no one is fucking right in
Exactly.
this situation. You know what I mean? No side is truly correct. Because even if you have a good point, then somebody takes it too fucking far. And that's just, you can't not. People are stupid, dude.
And
People
that
are
is
so
being
radical. Like,
leveraged, and they are trying to make everyone seem radical when I think they don't realize how median everyone really is. I don't think 95% of America is actually as radical as anybody thinks they are. You know what I mean? I think an interesting thing happened pretty recently with Twitter. Did you see anything about them turning on origin locations for all accounts across Twitter? It
what the
was
fuck?
randomly turned on and it revealed a bunch of accounts from outside countries like fucking Qatar, Russia, fucking Israel, fucking masquerading as United States influencers and sometimes even political accounts. And it's just really goes to show that social media and online platforming is being manipulated to try and control the public and try and make everyone think that everybody is more radical than they are. And I'll tell you something really neat, bro. I deleted most of my social media almost 10 years ago now. Something I haven't had a problem
Good.
with is thinking anybody's fucking radical, bro. I've worked in fucking retail for literally almost 15 years now. I talk to people face to face every day for my job. Do you know how many radicals I talk to? Probably four. I don't know who they were, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Statistically, yeah. Well, dude, that's like when I went to fucking Alabama. Like everybody has this stigma. Oh, it's gonna be all backwoods, hella racist, bro. It was not like that at all. Like going through Atlanta, going through everything. Like everybody has these stigmas and shit,
and
and it's
I think
not
that's
like
the
that
biggest
at
point,
all.
and I think people just really need to remember that and actually talk to each other, bro. Don't be afraid to go, hey man, what do you how do you feel? What's going on? What and one of
That's what I'm saying. Like with the podcast, dude. 'Cause I could be fucking, if I could have an opinion, right? And somebody could like discredit it, and be like, hey, this is how I see it. We can sit down, have a real conversation. And if I change my view, I will admit, like, oh, okay, I see your point. Because sometimes if you can't see where the other person's coming from, how can you
agreed.
really make a judgment?
And I think another thing that we need to do while we're doing that is asking if we can help each other. Like I tell people at work all the time, man, the only way we're gonna get through these times is if we help our friends, our family, and our
Yeah,
neighbors.
yeah. Because you never know what somebody else is going through, dude. Like, you could literally just fucking smile at somebody, and that fucking could
Oh,
change
bro,
so
and
much in that person's
it
life.
happened to me literally the other day at work. I had a guy that I said what's up to him and his kids a few times as they'd come in, just because I'm a dad. He's pretty close to my age. His kids seemed like they were a little shy, and I'm trying to make them
Yeah.
feel comfortable. The guy at the store says what's up. They're like, "Oh, what's up?" Now we get to say hi to him every time we come in, and that's exactly how it ended up working. Like, and so he came in the other day, and I was going back because I'm a freight guy, and so I'm on the floor and I help check, but most of the time I'm not. And so he hollered at me and was like, "Hey, I tried to say what's up, bro." And I was like, "Well, bro, I'm literally deaf. I'm sorry, I didn't even hear you." And he's like, "It's all good. What's up, bro?" And like I stopped and you could see almost already had tears in his eyes. And I'm like, "What's going on, man?" And he's like, I think I'm gonna lose my kids, man. My wife and I are separating, going through a divorce, and she's trying to fight me for custody. And I immediately was like, fuck, bro.
Fuck, dude.
But literally, just from those, what I would say, maybe even 5 or 6 hellos, that guy was like, I can talk to him about what's going on in my life right now.
I need to talk to somebody, and you made them feel comfortable enough. And that's like, that's my whole point of like this podcast is getting other people's perspectives, stories like this, dude, because that's what we need to do, man. Like, you said something earlier that really hit home for me because you said it's that moment of being vulnerable. And I watched this TED talk, dude. It's Brene Brown, and she talks about vulnerability and how it is key. People that are happy allow themselves to be vulnerable because that's what is like the give and the
Yep.
take. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to ask for help. You need to be able to say, I have these traits, but I need help with these other traits. And it's, having humility and vulnerability make you a stronger person because then you build a support group around you that you can succeed anything because not one of us can do everything, but all of us, can take care of something. So together we
And
can
that's
fucking
what
take care of
community is
anything.
about. And that's why I try and
Yeah,
And that's why I try and
100%. I
include
think
at
it's
the end of that, take
smart.
care of your friends, your family, and your neighbor if you can. Obviously, that's if you
Yeah, dude.
can. Taking care of doesn't mean like paying their bills, buying their dishes. You know what I mean? Hey, it's even just a hello. How are you?
Somebody that a little
Yeah,
bit of a
bro.
give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Just giving a fuck a little bit, dude. Because, and I'll be honest with you, and you've heard me say this a million times. Like, it was like my fucking go-to saying. I don't give a fuck because I didn't give a fuck, and because I didn't give a fuck for so long, and I fucked up so much shit. I give a fuck a whole lot now, and I'm just trying to make sure that I can do my part to help bring awareness to how
Well,
wrong I
and
was.
I think you have a pretty good perspective on how fragile things can be.
In the fucking blink of an eye. Everything that you know and everything that you care about can change. Perspective is everything. I looked at everything like it was shit. That's why I fucking drank myself into oblivion. That's why I did all these drugs because I was trying to run from the inevitable. If you can look at it and see the good in things, you're gonna start seeing more good things because you're not so negative about it. Like, it's just that perspective change can change your
I
whole
think you
life.
remember when I was really young, I used to say, what is reality but perception?
Hmm? Like 100%, dude, because it's true.
And
What's that? The beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It's whatever you want to make it, dude. Like, if you want it to be shit, or if you view it as shit, even if you don't want to, right? But if you keep doing it, that's what happened to me, dude. I kept being so negative on myself that eventually that was my initial thought. I would do something so minor and like mess up, right? You fucking idiot! How could you do that? Like, you can't do just so down and just so destructive. That was my initial thought on every little thing. So I was just hyper critical about everything. Well, no wonder I'm a fucking short fused asshole to everything and everyone because I can't just be like, oh shit. I need to try again at that. I see what I did
That's
wrong
an
that time.
interesting thing to help me realize about myself that I haven't thought about a lot, and I appreciate that insight too, man.
Dude, it's something that literally I started doing affirmations every day and just like catch myself because I still have issues where like fucking I'll do something like you dumbass, but like no you just didn't know, and like doing those positive like affirmations like you did your best, you're gonna learn from this, and just those small changes, dude, it makes a huge difference because you can't take care of anybody else if you can't take care of yourself. And for a long time I fucking didn't like me. So if I don't like me, how am I going to be able to, to know if I like something else because I can't even like myself, If you can't sit in your own skin, it's just I did an episode which honestly I'm glad that we were able to give you the number that you wanted. I did do an episode that I kind of have to reshoot with a buddy. I kind of made a special out of it, but it was I'm not gonna lie, it was absolute chaos. It was with Chris and his band, and I am excited to eventually be able to post that special. But I'm gonna sit down with Chris and be able to kind of make a real episode with him, and then do a special with just that because it's absolute chaos the whole time. But that's kind of where I had to like, hey, we're gonna reshoot this one. I was able to do an episode with a close friend Bubba, one of Ashley's friends that I've come to be really close with now, and I got to do episode 8 with him. So then it was like perfect because like now, we already planned this out. We're gonna sit down on Black Friday. We're gonna do this, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna move things around. You wanted episode 9, and I was able to make it happen. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's things like that. It's just little things like that to where if you give a shit enough,
100%,
you
man.
know, like why couldn't I just move a few things? Like move a few things around. Because then also I was like, kind of negative at first. Like, fuck, that episode's got to be done before this other episode. Why? I take the content I created, I hold on to it, I create another episode, and you move forward.
Heck
Hiccups
yeah.
are gonna happen, dude. And that's the other thing too is like in this recovery thing. That's why at first I was questioning this. Should I do a podcast? Like what if I fuck up? What if I relapse? But it gives me more reason to do the podcast because then I would come back on here and be like, look,
The
I fucked up. We're
accountability.
back to square
Yep.
one and we're starting again.
Well, and it's kind of
100%,
funny
dude.
you bring the hiccup up because do you know the number nine's always had a really special thing to me, and it's just got some interesting numerology kind of to it that isn't super what I'm into, but it's just interesting math factorials and stuff like that. I've always had a personal interest in
Right.
it, and my wedding was going to be on 9/18/18 because it had such a special place in my heart, and 18 is 9 times 2. And if you add it all together, that's 9 plus
Yeah.
18 plus 18 is what? 54, which is 9 times 5, or 5 plus 4 is 9. All of the
Yeah.
interesting numerology and factorials of 9. Um, my wedding.
You start getting into the fucking
Exactly,
12
and
of
that's
fucking
that's
things
that's a huge reason why it was always so cool to me. But there was a hiccup on my wedding. My wedding ended up being 9/15, and because it was easier for everybody to make it, it was on a wedding or on a weekend. It just worked out. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget it because of that hiccup too. You know what I mean?
because there's a backstory to it where, and that's the thing too is like when I told you what my wedding date was going to be, like you son of
How many other people sussed that
a
out as quick as I did?
bitch. Dude, like I told Hobo like, hey, it's going to be on this day, and he was like, okay, and he's like, wait a minute, like it took him a bit, and he was like, oh like, yeah, like I kind of just jumped the gun on that one, I told him I was like, it's on 7/12, and he's like, you motherfucker,
Oh, that's so good.
like. And then, because Ashley asked me, like, what day are we going to get married? And I was like, 7/12.
Yep.
Because, everything, 7/12. Because, fucking 3 plus 4 is fucking 7, but 3 times 4 is 12, and then that's how we're fucking crazy because we just be stoned out of our gourd and just start doing all these crazy like the
Yep.
movie 23 type shit. But yeah, dude, it was cool though because that day planned out like I just said that and I never looked at the calendar. I didn't look at anything, and I just said that number, and Ashley was like, okay, I'm like fuck. Then of course it's hotter than fucking balls.
It was
No, man, like I love these fucking podcast episodes, especially like with this one, dude. I won't lie, every single time I get a little bit like this little nervous rush, but then as soon as we start doing it, I just get like this overwhelming like happiness because it like you start reminiscing, you start bringing up all these old memories, and it's things that I didn't really take into accountability before. Like I kind of took for granted. My mental clarity makes me appreciate things so
I
much
totally
more.
know what you mean, man.
like even bad things, dude, because at least I have the ability to remember it.
I agree.
It's crazy to me, dude. Like we've come a long way, and that's something when I was sitting there talking with Walmart and stuff, dude. Like, you know, kind of explaining to him, like even with like Hobo, dude, where Hobo doesn't really have like an addiction. Like, yeah, he smokes a lot of weed, dude, but we've seen him just like
Oh yeah.
I'm done and just stop. I can't do that, dude. I can't put something down. If I start something, it is hard for me to stop, and I was, trying to explain to him like that. It doesn't matter who you are. Not, I would say just about everybody. There's probably some people out there that haven't, and they're very fortunate for it. But most people, in some way, shape, or form, have had to deal with addiction, either directly or indirectly. If you love somebody that's in addiction, you fucking
Oh,
go through it
100%,
too.
man. And that was something I remember when I was a pretty big church head, even my youth pastor talked about. And it was like, my experiences I share with you guys, hopefully, so you can learn from them without having to do it the hard way. Unfortunately, some of us
Yeah.
still chose to do it the hard way.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, dude, like it's what the biggest thing to me that I've come to realize through this recovery phase. You can be told something, right? Like a million fucking times, hear it a million times in your life, and it just doesn't hold value. And then the right person at the right time can say it, and it just like clicks, and all of it makes sense. Like, there's all these small sayings that, like, until you get it, you
I
don't
actually
get it,
I had a quote that did
and
that
it's
for me the other
it's
day, and I want to
powerful,
share it
man.
with you in the with the podcast because I think it was one of the most powerful quotes that hit me in that moment, and I hope it hits somebody else like this. I
Yeah.
said, "I hope you have a good day" to a customer, and he turned around and he looked me dead in the eye and he said, "Every day is a good day. It's up to us to make it better."
Fucking A, dude. And that's so accurate because it's like I was saying earlier, everything is a perception. If I could say today was just, oh, I just went to work and I just came home and just, I chatted with Baz. Or it could be like, I got to go to work today. I woke up and I was fucking clean. I was sober. I was able to go to work, complete my task, and not be hungover. I was able to come home, drive safe, drive my own car. I was able, like you start looking at things and being grateful because all those things could not be a thing. I could be fucking in jail. I could not have my own car. Like just all those things. If you start weighing it like that, like it's not that I have to do something now. I view it as I get
And I,
to do something, and that's
I
a
think that's an
huge life change.
awesome. I think you just found your episode title by accident. Is this is thankfulness and gratitude, man. The day after Thanksgiving, it actually is amazingly fitting and is a perfect segue into
Yeah, it'll be a little bit before this gets posted, right? But like, that's why I feel like it's perfect because in the moment we get to live this, and then when it's posted, like I guess it allows them to kind of
exactly,
reminisce on this time
exactly, and
frame as
that's
well.
also the timing of the recording is really interesting. It's just the way the universe kind of flowed things. Everything aligns for a reason, you know. Into my final topic, which I don't know if we're actually going to have time for. I think I'm going to have to cut the episode just a little short to go help my wife with the kids who are being demons. But I would like to turn this into a two-part episode that we can record at the second part at some point down the line, and we'll start with a topic I am
Yeah, for sure.
incredibly grateful for in my life and passionate about, and something I've always been passionate about. The thing that probably I was most well known for in our music group, probably besides anybody except for Richard, was music, man. Hip hop became my passion for a long time, and I got lots of hip hop stuff to talk with you about. We'll have a music episode special for the next one, which is an interesting tie-in to
Oh,
your special also,
yeah, and then exactly. I did the thing with Hobo. We're talking about like the AI can make AI music and stuff, and then like it was kind of interesting talking to an actual band about like how they felt about that. Like Hobo said, he feels like it should be its own genre. Like you can't compare the two because you can't. But then yeah, no, I definitely would love to get into the music stuff. I actually somebody reached out to me on the you remember the fucking
Yeah.
Team Backpack fan page
I
we
I
ran?
it's still going.
Yeah, some dude's been blowing me up asking to take over, and I just don't reply to him.
Somebody still was posting shit not too long ago even. I was like, who the fuck has control of this page?
Yeah, dude, like some real guy, like started messaging me like pretty consistently, being like, "Hey, man, let me have control of this." And I'm like, "No, I don't know you.
That's my social media legacy, man. Don't ever let it die.
Hell no, forever." All right, brother. Well, like I said, we'll definitely. I appreciate you coming on, man, making the time to do this. I know you got little ones, and I know how it is. Every time when you try to do something like this, that's when they're going to be all rambunctious because it's
It's
like
the
an itch that
attention.
you can't scratch right now. It's gonna fucking eat.
It's the attention, bro. They know they aren't getting it and they crave it and they're like, "All right, well, I know I get attention when I get upset and angry and I cause extra trouble." I totally get it. It's a kid thing, man. And being upset about it is something I would have done when
My
I
kids.
was probably intoxicated. But taking a moment, pausing, having a
Yep.
breather and going, "Hey, I'm grateful for this. Let's go solve the problem. Get them ready to relax and unwind and ready for bed. We'll have a good evening, you know?" All right, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, brother. I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, you take care. We're gonna fucking get back together so we can do a
Sounds
music
good. I
episode for
love
sure.
you. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to chatting with you again here soon. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Love you too. Send love to the
You as
family.
well.
You have a good night, man.
Peace.